Hey everyone, happy Monday off the Real Sports with Bert Beiswanger. I hope you're getting a leg up on the week. It's not hard this week, folks, not with the NCAA tournament starting Thursday and Friday, the big days, but the tournament starts tomorrow. I hear people call the Tuesday and Wednesday games in Dayton playing games. They ditched that. They're opening round games. You're in the tournament. When two teams in history have opened in Dayton and made the NCAA Final Four, you're in the tournament. So, we kick that off tomorrow with a couple of. We have a 16-16 matchup, and then the 11-11 Texas NC State, and then a 16-16 Wednesday, followed by Miami, Ohio versus SMU. That should be a really good atmosphere there in Dayton. That was an easy decision for the committee to make to put Miami in. We've talked about them. I can go through a laundry list of teams that got snubbed over the years, mid-majors, that were really good teams, better than this one. But this one went undefeated. And I don't care what conference you're playing in and what your strength of schedule is. You go undefeated, you should be in the NCAA tournament, and they are. Otherwise, we've lost our way. And we already have lost our way. But that would be kind of like the jump the shark moment on losing our way in college sports. But hey, we're still heading in the wrong direction. Anyway, field's done. I honestly usually have a lot of complaints. I don't. Part of that is because I've calibrated the brain to the point where I understand that the system is completely different than it used to be. Do I want to see teams below 500 in the conference, 11th place in their conference, 10th place in their conference? No, I would rather see 26-5 Belmont, who won the Missouri Valley, a really good mid-major conference. But the committee has thrown that out the window, and we've seen it over the years. It's crazy because back before the tournament expanded with these opening round games in Dayton, and you had a field of 64. You had all kinds of human element metrics. Yeah, you had RPI rankings, but you had people watching basketball and saying, look, that team passed the eye test. That one doesn't. That finished 8-2. That one finished 2-8. On and on and on and on. Who did you play? Did you even try to play a road game? What was your non-conference strength of schedule? Did you try to play anybody non-conference? They basically have told all the major conferences you don't have to play road games anymore. They play all these neutral site games. And quite honestly, you can rack up a lot of bad non-conference games and schedule a lot of bad non-conference games. Sprinkle in a good one here and there, right? And as long as you're playing a major conference schedule, you're going to get the quad 1 and quad 2 wins and losses that you need. It is really hard for a major conference team to not make the tournament, especially a Big Ten team. Indiana. It's just really hard to not make the tournament now. But again, when it was a field of 64, you had even more at-large bids to the mid-majors. The Valley, Colonial Athletic, the MAC a couple of times, the A10 multiple bid conference. This was back when it was a field of 64. Now we're at a field of 68. We have less. How is that possible? Well, the committee put together a metric. The conferences threw a fit, and they want things their way. They want as many teams in the conference as they can get. So they've adjusted scheduling. They've adjusted metrics. Schedule strengths, quad 1s, 2s, whatever. I won't bore you with that. And then you've got the portal and NIL, and basically you're not going to have an era like we used to have. You're not going to have a Mid-American Conference that had literally had Gary Trent, Bonzi Wells, and Wally Zerbiak all on the MAC, at about the same time. That's crazy, among others, by the way. But those were all lottery picks. Those guys stayed. Those teams were, man. It was brutal losing the MAC back then because you knew, hey, they put an extra MAC team in, they'll have a chance to win. They rarely would do it. You don't have that anymore. So really, what makes the opening rounds of the NCAA tournament possibly rewarding for mid-majors is if all the mid-majors that should win their tournaments do win their tournaments. That wasn't the case. Isn't always the case. It wasn't the case this year in some conferences like the SoCon. I think UNC Wilmington was 15-3. They lost. Charleston was 14-4. They lost. So you're going to have a little bit of some clumpiness with some of these mid-majors that aren't quite as good as if they're the number one seed would have won the tournament. But also, these majors aren't as good as they used to be anyway. Because again, like I said, transfer portal. If you're good in a mid-major, you're gone in a year. You're not sticking around to play at High Point very long, or Iona, or FAU. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. That's not going to happen anymore, and it doesn't happen anymore. So, nonetheless, we like the tournament still. Do not expand it. They're talking about expanding it. If they do, they have to have some criteria that just prevents it from being more major conference teams that are bad, average to bad. Like Indiana, nobody needs to see them. They're not in. There's teams that are in that shouldn't be in, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, gets started off on Tuesday and Wednesday. I think Purdue, keeping it a little local here, I think Purdue got a decent draw in their bracket. Now, Purdue played, because they were leaking oil down the stretch. They turned it on in the Big Ten tournament, and, they won it. They beat Michigan. Now, they had a good path. They had a good draw. Northwestern, Nebraska, who's leaking oil. They're a pretty weak 4 seed, in my opinion. They'll get beat by Vanderbilt in the 4-5 game if it gets to that. But anyway, I think Purdue's got a pretty solid draw. Trying to find them here. Okay, so they're opposite Arizona. Well, they're going to be opposite of a major team anyway. Duke, Florida, Arizona, or Michigan. All right, and then they've got potentially second round game Miami, Florida. Let's see, Gonzaga's in there. They're good, but they're not. I'd have to go back and look through all the threes. I don't think they're as good as they've been in the past. They're good, but Purdue could handle them. BYU's in there. AJ DeBansa, hopefully a future Pacer, but we'll see. He's really good. But they have a major loss. They lost one of their big players. So they went from being like, top 6, 7 team in the country or whatever, to losing some games and taking some hits. They ended up 23-11. Wisconsin's in that field. It's fine. And then Arizona. I think Purdue's got a really solid draw. So I like that. Who do I think is going to win? I don't know. People have asked me this. Look, I picked all 4 number 1 seeds to go to the Final Four last year. I picked Florida to win it. They did. I really liked. Florida was looking fantastic. They were beating everybody by 15, 20 points. In the SEC, Alabama, and Arkansas. I mean, they just went to Arkansas a couple weeks ago and just dominated. Now look at Arkansas. Arkansas's hot. They win the SEC. Florida looked like trash in both of their SEC games. I'm hoping that's a blip on the radar, but I hope it's not a regression to a little bit earlier in the season when they couldn't hit threes at all. And frankly, even when they were doing that, they were still barely losing to UConn and Duke and Arizona. What I saw this past week was as bad as I remember seeing them play. So hopefully they can turn it on. But their region's tough. Now Nebraska's the 4 seed in there. They're fine. Great story, good team. But Vandy's in there, and Vandy just got done kicking Florida's butt. So they're a 5 seed. Houston's in there, and Illinois is in there. Now, you're going to have good teams no matter what, right? I mean, the other 2 seed, Ohio State. Let's see, what else? UConn, yeah, they're leaking oil. I would have liked to see Florida in the same region as UConn, but hey, you just got to play the games, right? A lot of these games are hard to predict. There's a lot of injuries. I for example, love Texas Tech, but they do not have JT Toppin. And so Toppin is out. Obi Toppin's brother, I do believe. Toppin's out, so Texas Tech isn't what they used to be. Vandy, now see, here's the thing. Vandy was one of the last remaining undefeated teams, if you remember, and they were ranked in the top 5. And they were rolling. And then they got on a losing streak a little bit. They just started losing games. I don't know what their losing streak was per se, but they took it on the chin a little bit. But they had a major injury. And he's back now, and so Vandy is they look pretty good in the SEC tournament. So I think at 5 seed they're pretty dangerous. But listen, love the NCAA tournament. I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to find some of those upsets. I wrote some down earlier if I can find my notes, teams I kind of like. Now, these are spreads that we're talking. I'm not talking about outright winners, but like Northern Iowa's plus 11. I like that. They're playing. Let's see, who are they playing? I just lost it. I just lost it. Well, anyway, I've got Northern Iowa as a potential at least cover the spread in that first round. Troy plus 14 against Nebraska. I like that. I got Cal Baptist plus 14. I am losing. See, I got this beautiful bracket here, and now all of a sudden I can't find anything. Um, well, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and look through this entire bracket right now and try to find all this stuff. But suffice to say, Cal Baptist, South Florida is plus 6. I like South Florida, and that's one I wrote down, and then Furman plus 20.5 because why not? It's 20.5 points. I like Furman, and I think they can cover the 20.5 points. Now, I'm going to watch anything and everything I can, multiple days. Uh, Friends always want to try to get me out and about, watch some games out and about, and that's fine. And it is fun. It is fun for a couple hours, but I like to manage my own content. Uh, Put up 3 TVs and juggle those bad boys between CBS and TNT and TBS and True TV, and juggle the audio based on who's coming down the stretch and all that kind of stuff. You go out to a restaurant, bar, or whatever, you're at the mercy of the audio that they put on, right? And so you're kind of just distracted by that game. I like to do things my way. No surprise, and quite frankly, I know how to have fun when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Hats off to Matt Norlander. You can find him on X. Matt is a college sports journalist, among other things. He's got good podcasts out there, all kinds of stuff. But he tracked down an awesome bracket. That's amazing how hard these brackets are to find every year. But this thing's got everything listed, the network of each game, and the starting time of each game. So Arizona, Long Island, TNT, 1:35 Friday. Let's see, Kansas, Cal Baptist. There's the Cal Baptist game. Yeah, I like Kansas. What are we going to get out of them? They could be one of the best teams in the tournament, and they could be. I think they could be beaten by Cal Baptist, but one of the best games I watched, by the way, in championship with Cal Baptist and Utah Valley. Anyway, CBS 9:45 Friday. Michigan State, North Dakota State. Like North Dakota State. TNT Thursday 4:05. This is all you need right here. Go to mattnorlander.com. All right, and there's a downloadable version. Or just copy the image, paste it in Word or whatever, save it as a PDF, and move on down the road. All right. I don't know who's going to win the tournament. I'm probably going to lead Duke or Arizona. I know it's easy, but Michigan is right there. But I don't know. Michigan's been they're winning, right? Except for the Purdue game, but they've regressed a little bit. Their backup point guard is out now, Kason, and he's very important. And so now you don't have a backup point guard. Depth is really important in these tournaments and to be a potential champion. Like Florida last year, you have to be a Swiss Army knife. You have to have multiple ways to win games and to overcome things because you're going to have adversity. You're going to have games where the threes aren't dropping. So you have the bigs, you have the defense, you have the bigs. Can you take care of the basketball? Florida, for the most part this year, that last year could do all that. I mean, they played some of their worst basketball months in the NCAA tournament, and they still won. They found a way to win. No apologies necessary, ever, for winning in the NCAA tournament. But the Gators now, and I think they're the same way this year, I think they have one of the best front courts of the country. They've already played all the big boys. They've already played UConn. They've already played Arizona. They played at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and they lost those 3 games by a combined 10 points when they were not shooting the basketball at all. They've got the bigs. They've got a big man coming off the bench. They got a big man coming off the bench, or a winger coming off the bench, and they've got a guard coming off the bench. So they've got 8 deep, and they've got every position covered. But man, they looked horrible. I'm just gonna have to flush that from my memory, and I hope that they show up and get it done. Chomp chomp. All right. Hey, World Baseball Classic. I try to tell you guys, there's people on sports talk radio who don't know what they're talking about. They have jobs. They get paid to make comments like, this is recreational. This is fabricated. But watch these games, and don't just watch USA. Well, we're down to only a couple games left, but last night, spectacular. Japan, Venezuela, that crowd, just insane. Puerto Rico got knocked out by Italy. That would have been something. So if you would have the Final Four's in Miami at the Barlin Stadium. If you would have USA, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, or I said Puerto Rico, didn't I? Venezuela. Good luck getting a ticket to that one, and not paying an arm and a leg. But Italy's in it. Italy plays Venezuela tonight, right? Yes, tonight in the other semifinal game. That game last night, U.S. Dominican, dudes all over the field, both sides, awesome. Hated to see the game end the way it did. Call 3 strike. It missed the zone by too much. It was like Angel Hernandez strike zone. And there was a call earlier that killed a rally for Dominican that was even worse than that. So, you know what? We got to get this automatic strike zone implemented in baseball as fast as we can and get it in the World Baseball Classic too, or at least get the review process rolling in that as well. All right. Hey, you have a good week. You get a leg up on the week. Enjoy the NCAA tournament. We'll talk more, but take it all in. It is a holiday week. Yeah, tomorrow's St. Patty's Day. That's fine. Doesn't matter. NCAA tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's where it's at. All right. Get a leg up, everyone. Have a good one. Talk soon.